The night air bit through her ragged clothes as 6-year-old Lily huddled over her baby brother, shielding him from the rain. That's when she spotted him. A man in an expensive suit, panic etched across his face as he stared at papers covered in strange symbols. No one could have predicted how this chance encounter would change everything. Where are you watching from today? Drop your location in the comments, like this video, and subscribe for more incredible true stories that will touch your heart. The rain pounded mercilessly on the cardboard shelter Lily had constructed in the alley behind 5th Avenue. At 6 years old, she'd become an expert at finding dry spots in the concrete jungle of New York City. Tonight was different, though. Baby Noah wouldn't stop crying. His tiny face was flushed with fever, his bottle empty for hours. "Shh, it's okay," she whispered, cradling her 1-year-old brother. "We'll find food soon." They'd been alone for 3 weeks since their mother disappeared. Lily knew the rules: stay hidden from the people in uniforms who would separate them, find food where possible, and most importantly, keep Noah safe. She'd promised Mom. With Noah wrapped in her only sweater, Lily ventured out. The evening crowds rushed by, briefcases and shopping bags in hand, eyes averted from the small figure huddled in doorways. She knew from experience that the bakery on 57th sometimes left day-old bread by the back door. It was worth the risk. That's when she noticed him, a tall man in an expensive suit, pacing frantically outside the glass towers of Madison Avenue. Papers scattered around him as the wind gusted, sending several flying. The man lunged desperately, catching most, but missing one that skidded toward Lily's feet. She picked it up. Strange markings covered the page, curves and dots unlike anything she'd seen before, but something about it seemed familiar. "Give that back!" the man shouted, startling Noah, who began to wail. Lily stepped back, clutching the paper and her brother. "Sorry, mister," she mumbled, extending the document with trembling fingers. The man's face changed as he noticed the bundle in her arms. "What are you doing out here? Where are your parents?" "Nowhere," Lily answered automatically. "We're fine." He studied her with piercing blue eyes that somehow didn't seem unkind. "You can read this?" he asked, gesturing toward the paper. Lily shook her head. "No, but—" She hesitated. "My mom taught me pictures. These ones here," she pointed to a symbol. "It's like the ones in her special book." The man's expression transformed entirely. "What's your name?" "Lily," she whispered, suddenly aware of how exposed they were. "I'm Mr. Harrison," he said, kneeling despite his expensive suit. "Lily, I need help with these papers. They're very important. If you can help me understand them, I'll make sure you and your brother get food tonight." Noah's cry grew more insistent. Lily felt her resolve crumbling. "He needs milk, special kind. He's just a baby." Harrison nodded, looking at the documents, then back at the children. "If you help me, I'll get him whatever he needs." "Promise?" Something flashed across his face. Recognition, perhaps. "I promise." That moment changed everything. Alexander Harrison had exactly 48 hours to decode the acquisition documents before the Qatari investors pulled out. At 52, he'd built Horizon Enterprises from nothing into a global powerhouse, but this deal would cement his legacy. The translator had fallen ill, the backup was unreachable, and his board was in panic. He hadn't expected salvation to come in the form of a dirt-smudged child holding a baby. "Come with me," he told Lily, guiding them toward the gleaming entrance of Harrison Tower. "We're not allowed," she said, stepping back. "You are with me," he answered firmly. "My office is upstairs." The security guard's eyes widened as Harrison escorted the children through the marble lobby. "Mr. Harrison is everything." "These are my special consultants, Phillips. We have urgent business." In the private elevator, Lily stood rigid, one arm around Noah, the other gripping the handrail. Harrison noticed calluses on her small hands, dirt beneath fingernails that had been bitten to the quick. The baby's diaper smelled, his onesie stained and too small. "How long have you been on the streets?" he asked. Lily's gaze remained fixed on the elevator buttons. 3 weeks, 2 days. "And before that?" "We had an apartment. Mom cleaned offices at night." "Where is she now?" "She didn't come back." The simplicity of her statement hit harder than tears would have. The elevator opened directly into Harrison's penthouse office. Floor-to-ceiling windows revealed Manhattan's glittering skyline, but the children were fixated on the fruit bowl on his conference table. "Eat," Harrison said, gesturing toward the bowl. "I'll order more food." As Lily carefully peeled a banana for her brother, Harrison studied her. There was something vaguely familiar about her face, something that tugged at his memory. He pushed the thought aside and called his assistant. "Janet, I need infant formula, diapers, and food delivered immediately. And find Dr. Reynolds, have him come to my office." When he hung up, Lily was examining the documents spread across his desk, Noah balanced on her hip. "My mom's book had these," she said, pointing to specific markings. "She used to read them to me." "Your mother could read Arabic?" Harrison asked, incredulous. Lily nodded. "She was teaching me before." Her voice trailed off. Harrison spread the contract before her. "What else do you remember?" "This means agreement," she said, pointing. "And this part talks about money, very big money." Harrison felt a chill. The child couldn't possibly know this. "How do you know?" "The pictures are the same. Mom's book had stories about treasures and agreements." "I remember, because of the pictures." The food arrived, along with the doctor who examined Noah while Lily anxiously hovered nearby. "He's dehydrated and malnourished," Dr. Reynolds reported privately to Harrison. "Both children need proper care immediately." Harrison watched as Lily meticulously fed her brother, wiping his mouth between bites, murmuring reassurances. "I'll help you with these papers," she told Harrison seriously, "if you help my brother." Looking at her determined expression, Harrison made a decision that would alter the course of multiple lives. "I'll do better than that," he said. "I'll help both of you." Dawn broke over the city as Harrison's legal team assembled in the conference room. Lily had fallen asleep on the leather sofa, curled protectively around Noah, who rested peacefully after a bottle of formula and clean clothes from the emergency delivery. "Mr. Harrison, with all due respect," began Thomas Whitfield, Harrison's chief counsel, "this is highly irregular. These children need to be reported to Child Protective Services." Harrison's gaze remained on Lily's sleeping form. "That's not happening yet. The girl has knowledge that could save this deal. She's 6 years old. And somehow she recognized specific Arabic legal terminology that our own team missed," Harrison countered. "I need to know how and why before anyone takes her anywhere." Janet entered with fresh coffee. "The background check you requested, sir." Harrison scanned the report. Lily and Noah Parker. "Mother, Amira Parker, formerly Amira Nazari, deceased 3 weeks ago. Body found in the East River, ruled accidental drowning." "Father, unknown." Something in Harrison's chest tightened. "Nazari." The name triggered a distant memory, a research trip to Jordan 20 years ago. A beautiful translator with amber eyes, a brief affair before he returned to his corporate climb. "Find everything you can about Amira Nazari," he instructed Janet. "I want her complete history." Meanwhile, Lily had awakened and was changing Noah's diaper with practiced efficiency, using the supplies Harrison had ordered. "Mr. Harrison," she called, "I'm ready to help now." For the next several hours, Harrison watched in astonishment as Lily identified key phrases in the documents. She couldn't read them fully, but her recognition of patterns and symbols proved invaluable. His team worked alongside her, piecing together the contract's true implications. "This doesn't say 10 million, Lily said, pointing to a clause. "Mom's book had this symbol. It means 100. The room fell silent. Harrison's financial officer recalculated frantically. If she's right, they're asking for 100 million, not 10. Further investigation confirmed Lily's observation. The translation error would have cost Harrison's company $90 million. By afternoon, Noah was sleeping peacefully in a makeshift crib constructed from a file drawer, while Lily continued working with remarkable focus. Harrison couldn't take his eyes off her. The determined set of her jaw, her careful movements. So much like. "Sir," Janet appeared at his side, holding a folder. "You need to see this." The file contained Amira Nazari's history. Born in Jordan, educated in linguistics, immigrated to America 20 years ago. There was a photograph, a woman with amber eyes and a determined expression so similar to Lily's that Harrison felt the room spin. The final page was a birth certificate. Father's name, Alexander Harrison. He gripped the edge of the desk, the implications crashing over him like a tidal wave. "Sir, are you all right?" Janet asked. Harrison stared at Lily across the room, his daughter, his children. "Cancel my meetings for the rest of the week," he said quietly, "and get my attorney on the phone, my personal attorney, not corporate." Janet followed his gaze to the little girl. "Sir, are you saying—" "I'm saying I've just found something more important than any business deal." Night had fallen by the time Harrison settled the children in his penthouse apartment. He'd made the necessary calls to his attorney, to a private investigator, to the board explaining he needed 24 hours to handle a personal emergency. The Qatari investors could wait. Nothing was more urgent than the sleeping children in his guest bedroom. His daughter, his son. The DNA test would confirm it, but Harrison needed no science to recognize the truth. Lily had Amira's eyes, her determination, her intelligence, and looking at baby Noah, Harrison saw his own chin, his brow. How had Amira hidden this from him? Why had she never told him he had children? More importantly, how had he missed recognizing his own flesh and blood, even as they stood before him, hungry and homeless? The shame of it scorched him from within. Harrison poured himself 3 fingers of scotch and stared out at the city. Somewhere down there, Amira had been struggling, raising his children alone, teaching Lily Arabic from her homeland. Then she died, accidentally, leaving the children to fend for themselves. The intercom buzzed. "Mr. Harrison, Detective Morales is here." Harrison had called in a favor from an old friend at NYPD to investigate Amira's death more thoroughly. "The drowning wasn't an accident," Morales informed him after reviewing the case files. "There were bruises on her wrists and throat that the medical examiner initially attributed to the recovery process. I've requested a re-examination." "Murder?" Harrison felt sick. "Possibly. The timing coincides with your Qatari deal becoming public knowledge." Harrison's mind raced. "You think there's a connection?" "I think it's a hell of a coincidence that a woman who could read Arabic dies right before a mistranslation nearly cost you millions." Morales studied him. "You said the girl recognized Arabic text." "She saved the entire deal," Harrison confirmed, "if those children hadn't appeared when they did." A soft sound interrupted them. Lily stood in the hallway, clutching a blanket. "Noah's crying," she said. "He doesn't know where we are." Harrison excused himself and followed Lily to the bedroom. Noah was indeed awake, whimpering softly in the portable crib Harrison had ordered. "He's scared," Lily explained. "We never sleep in nice places." Harrison lifted the baby, awkwardly at first, then with more confidence as Noah settled against his chest. "It's okay," he murmured. "You're safe now." "Safe." "Are we going to the place with other kids tomorrow?" Lily asked, her voice small. "What place?" "The children's place. Mom said if something happened to her, they'd put us there and give us to different families." Harrison's throat tightened. "No, Lily, you're not going anywhere." "But the policeman is a friend helping us find out what happened to your mother." Harrison sat on the edge of the bed, still holding Noah. "Lily, I need to ask you something important." Did your mother ever mention your father? Lily climbed onto the bed beside him. She said he was important, that he built big buildings and helped people, but he didn't know about us. Did she say why she never told him? Lily shrugged. She said it was complicated, that he had his path and we had ours. She looked up at him with those familiar amber eyes. Are you really going to help us? Harrison made a decision in that moment that would change everything. I'm going to do more than help you, Lily. I'm going to take care of you both, forever. Lily studied him with a wisdom beyond her years. Why? The question hung between them. Simple, direct, devastating. Because you're my children, he wanted to say. Because I've missed 6 years of your life and every moment of Noah's. Because the woman I once loved died alone while I built an empire. Instead, he simply said, because it's the right thing to do. But even as he spoke the words, Harrison knew there were forces at work that wouldn't make this easy. Someone had killed Amira. And that someone might now be looking for her children. The DNA results arrived within 24 hours, thanks to Harrison's connections and considerable financial influence. The confirmation was irrefutable. Lily and Noah were his biological children. Harrison's attorney, Eleanor Winters, sat across from him in his home office, legal documents spread between them. Outside the window, a security team patrolled the perimeter of his building, a precaution following Detective Morales' revelations. The adoption process normally takes months, Eleanor explained, but given the circumstances, your biological connection, the children's vulnerable situation, and your resources, we can expedite matters. I've already filed emergency custody petitions. Harrison nodded absently, his attention drawn to the children in the next room. Through the open door, he could see Lily reading to Noah from a picture book Janet had purchased, one of dozens of items hastily acquired to transform his bachelor penthouse into a home for children. Alexander, are you listening? Eleanor's voice cut through his thoughts. Sorry, what were you saying? I said there will be scrutiny. A billionaire suddenly claiming 2 children during a major business deal. The press will have a field day. We need to control the narrative. Harrison felt a flash of irritation. These are my children, Eleanor, not a PR situation. They're both, she replied pragmatically, and there's still the matter of Amira's death investigation. If foul play is confirmed, that complicates everything. A soft knock interrupted them. Janet stood in the doorway. Sir, the Qatari delegation is demanding a meeting. They're threatening to pull out of the deal if you don't personally address their concerns within 24 hours. Harrison glanced at his watch. The deal's deadline loomed, but the thought of leaving the children, even temporarily, filled him with unease. Not just because of potential danger, but because of the fragile trust he was building with Lily. I'll handle it remotely, he decided. They specifically requested an in-person meeting in their hotel, Janet countered. The documents need your signature, and after the translation issues, they're insisting on direct communication. Eleanor gathered her papers. I'll stay with the children while you meet them. 4 hours maximum, and you'll be back. Harrison hesitated, then nodded. Set it up for tomorrow morning, Janet. And double the security detail here while I'm gone. After Eleanor and Janet departed, Harrison found himself alone with the children for the first time. Noah had fallen asleep on a plush rug surrounded by new toys, while Lily carefully organized a bookshelf, arranging the children's books by size. You like things orderly, Harrison observed, kneeling beside her. Lily nodded. Mom said a tidy space makes a tidy mind. She sounds very wise. She was. Lily's hand stilled on a book. Are we staying here forever now? Harrison chose his words carefully. I hope so. Would you like that? It's nice, she acknowledged. But what if you disappear too? Who will take care of Noah then? The question pierced Harrison's heart. Lily, I promise I won't disappear. Mom promised too, she replied simply. Harrison had no answer for that. Instead, he asked, "Did your mother have any friends? Anyone who visited or helped with you and Noah?" Lily considered this. Mr. Farouk from the market. He gave Mom extra food sometimes, and Miss Chen from downstairs watched us when Mom worked late. Did anyone strange ever come around? Anyone who made your mother nervous? Lily's expression changed. The man with the shiny shoes. Mom didn't like him. Harrison felt a chill. What man? He came to our apartment twice. Mom told me to take Noah to the bathroom and lock the door. They talked loud, but I couldn't hear what they said. When was this? Before Mom went away. Lily's voice dropped to a whisper. I think he was mad about the papers. What papers, Lily? The ones with the special writing. Mom kept them in her pillowcase. After she didn't come back, I looked for them, but they were gone. Harrison's phone rang. Detective Morales. Harrison excused himself to answer. We've confirmed homicide, Morales said without preamble. And we've found something else. Amira had a safe deposit box. Inside was a letter addressed to you, dated 6 years ago. And Harrison? There was surveillance footage of someone accessing her box 2 days after her death. We're working on identifying them now. Harrison ended the call, mind racing. A man with shiny shoes, missing papers, a safe deposit box accessed after Amira's death. Lily, he said, returning to the living room, I need to go out briefly tomorrow morning for a meeting. Would that be okay? Her eyes widened with alarm. You're leaving us? Just for a few hours? Eleanor, the lady who was just here, will stay with you, and there will be guards to keep you safe. Because of the man with the shiny shoes? Lily asked perceptively. Yes, Harrison admitted, but he won't hurt you, I promise. As he tucked the children in that night, Harrison realized how quickly his priorities had shifted. The billion-dollar deal that had consumed him now seemed secondary to their safety. What he didn't know was that the meeting the next morning would be a trap, and that someone very close to him had already betrayed him. The Qatari delegation had requested a private meeting at the Peninsula Hotel. Harrison arrived precisely at 9 a.m., flanked by his security detail and Thomas Whitfield, his chief counsel. The corrected contracts were in his briefcase, ready for signing. I'll make this quick, Harrison told Thomas as they rode the elevator to the penthouse suite. 2 hours maximum, then I'm heading back home. Home. The word had taken on new meaning overnight. Sheikh Al-Thani greeted them in a lavish suite overlooking Central Park. Mr. Harrison, he said, extending his hand, we were beginning to think you had lost interest in our partnership. Not at all, Harrison replied smoothly. Just handling a personal matter. Yes, we heard about your sudden family situation. The Sheikh's smile didn't reach his eyes. How fortunate that these children appeared just as our contract negotiations reached a critical stage. Harrison stiffened. How did the Sheikh know about the children? He'd told no one outside his immediate circle. Before he could respond, Thomas interjected, Shall we review the revised terms? The meeting proceeded, but Harrison remained distracted. Something felt wrong, the Sheikh's cryptic reference to the children, the pointed questions about the contract's Arabic provisions, the way the security guards positioned themselves near the exits. Harrison's phone vibrated. A text from Eleanor. Call immediately. Emergency. Excuse me, Harrison stood abruptly. I need to step out for a moment. In the hallway, he dialed Eleanor. Her voice came through in a panicked whisper. They're gone, Alexander. The children are gone. Harrison felt the floor tilt beneath him. What happened? Armed men, professional. They disabled the security system and used gas. I woke up locked in a closet. The guards are down. Harrison's world narrowed to a pinpoint of rage and terror. Where's Janet? That's the thing. She's gone too. Not taken, gone. Her access card was used to override the elevator security protocol. Janet, his trusted assistant of 8 years. Harrison ended the call and burst back into the meeting room. "This meeting is over." Sheikh Al-Thani raised an eyebrow. "We haven't signed the contracts." "Where are they?" Harrison demanded, advancing on the man. "I don't know what you're talking about," the sheikh replied calmly. "My children," Harrison snarled. "You know something. Talk." Thomas intervened, placing a restraining hand on Harrison's arm. "Alexander, what's going on?" Harrison shook him off. "Someone has taken Lily and Noah, and I think our friends here know something about it." The sheikh sighed. "Mr. Harrison, I assure you, if your children are missing, it has nothing to do with us." He nodded to one of his advisors, who slid a folder across the table. "Perhaps this will clarify matters." Inside was a dossier on Janet Thompson, Harrison's assistant. Photographs showed her meeting with a man in expensive shoes, Rafael Diaz, a notorious corporate fixer known for eliminating problems for the highest bidder. "Your Ms. Thompson approached us last week," the sheikh explained. "She offered information about translation errors in our contract that would save us considerable money. In return, she wanted a position in our organization after the deal was completed." "She was selling me out," Harrison realized aloud. "Indeed. But when we investigated further, we discovered she was playing a more complex game. The translation errors were deliberate, designed to create confusion and delay the signing." "But why?" "That, Mr. Harrison, is what intrigued us." The sheikh leaned forward. "Someone wanted this deal to fail. Someone who knew about your connection to Amira Nazari and her children. Someone who has been watching you for years." Harrison felt a chill. "Who? Your business partner, perhaps?" The sheikh's expression was unreadable. "The man who stands to gain control of your company if you fail to complete this acquisition by the deadline, which I believe expires at midnight tonight. Victor Blackwood, Harrison's oldest friend and co-founder of Horizon Enterprises, the man who had introduced him to Amira 20 years ago in Jordan. This meeting was a distraction," Harrison realized, "to get me away from the children." The sheikh nodded. "It seems we have both been manipulated, Mr. Harrison. The question is, what will you do about it?" Harrison was already moving toward the door, phone in hand, dialing Detective Morales. "Find Janet Thompson," he ordered when the detective answered, "and put out an APB for Victor Blackwood. They've taken my children." Victor Blackwood's Long Island estate sprawled across 20 acres of prime waterfront property. Harrison's helicopter touched down on the immaculate lawn at 11:43 a.m., ignoring the sanctity of his former friend's private property. Detective Morales had advised waiting for police backup, but Harrison couldn't stomach another minute of inaction. 3 hours had passed since the children's abduction, 3 hours in which anything could have happened to them. Harrison's security team, doubled in size and heavily armed, surrounded him as he strode toward the mansion. The household staff scattered at their approach. "Victor," Harrison's voice echoed through the marble foyer, "show yourself." Instead, Janet appeared at the top of the grand staircase. She looked different, confident, almost smug. "They're not here, Alexander," she called down, "and neither is Victor." Harrison's security team fanned out, securing the perimeter as he climbed the stairs to confront his traitorous assistant. "Where are my children?" he demanded. Janet smiled thinly. "Safe, for now." She gestured to a nearby sitting room. "Let's talk privately." In the opulent space, Janet perched on a velvet settee while Harrison remained standing, too furious to sit. 20 years of loyal service," Janet began. "I built your empire with you, Alexander. Every deal, every acquisition, every crisis, I was there. And how did you reward me? With a salary while you accumulated billions. This is about money?" Harrison was incredulous. "It's about recognition," she snapped, "about getting what I deserve. And my children, what do they deserve?" Something flickered across Janet's face. perhaps a hint of remorse. They're just leverage. Once Victor gains control of the company, they'll be returned to you unharmed. You expect me to believe that? Believe what you want. But the clock is ticking. The Qatari deal expires at midnight. Without your signature, the company bylaws trigger the succession protocol. Victor assumes temporary control. Harrison studied the woman who had worked alongside him for 2 decades. You killed Amira, didn't you? Janet's composure faltered slightly. That wasn't planned. She recognized me from your office when we crossed paths by chance. Started asking questions about you, about why you'd never acknowledged her children. She straightened. It complicated things. So you murdered her. I protected our interests. Janet's voice hardened. Victor has been planning this for years, ever since he discovered your affair with Amira and the existence of your children. He wanted control of the company, and I wanted recognition. It was a natural partnership. Where is he now? Finalizing arrangements. When midnight passes without your signature on the Qatari deal, he becomes acting CEO. Only then will the children be returned. And if I go to the police, Janet smirked, with what evidence? Besides, the children are well hidden. Any attempt to involve authorities risks their safety. Harrison's phone vibrated with an incoming text. Detective Morales. Found something, call ASAP. Excuse me? Harrison said coldly, stepping into the hallway. Morales answered immediately. We've traced Janet's phone activity over the past week. Multiple calls to a property in the Adirondacks, owned by a shell company. Local police are en route, but it's remote, at least 2 hours away. 2 hours? Even by helicopter, Harrison couldn't reach the Adirondacks, retrieve the children, and return to sign the Qatari contracts before the midnight deadline. He had to choose. His children or his company. It wasn't even a decision. Send me the coordinates, Harrison told Morales. I'm on my way. He returned to the sitting room where Janet waited. You've made a critical mistake, he informed her calmly. Oh? Her confidence remained unshaken. You assumed I care about the company more than my children. Harrison checked his watch. Detective Morales has located them. Police are already closing in. Janet's smile faltered. You're bluffing. There's no way. I don't need to bluff. Harrison turned to leave. By the way, this entire conversation has been recorded. My security team will escort you to the police. As Janet was led away, Harrison's phone rang, Sheikh Al-Thani. Mr. Harrison, in light of recent developments, we are prepared to extend the contract deadline by 24 hours. Consider it a gesture of goodwill between future partners. Relief washed over him. Thank you, Sheikh. I accept your generous offer. One condition, the Sheikh added. When this is resolved, we want exclusive rights to develop Horizon's technology in the Middle East. Agreed, Harrison said without hesitation. By noon, Harrison's helicopter was airborne, heading north toward the Adirondack Mountains. According to Morales, the property was a hunting lodge surrounded by thousands of acres of forest, the perfect place to hide 2 children. What Harrison didn't know was that Victor had anticipated his moves. The lodge was a decoy. The children were elsewhere, and time was running out faster than anyone realized. Lily had never been on a boat before. Under different circumstances, she might have enjoyed the gentle rocking and the sound of water lapping against the hull. Now, huddled in the small cabin with Noah clutched to her chest, she felt only fear. The man who'd taken them, who'd introduced himself as Uncle Victor, had been kind enough bringing them food and toys. But Lily knew better than to trust his smiles. She'd seen the gun tucked into his waistband when he thought she wasn't looking. Your daddy and I are playing a game, he'd explained when they first arrived at the yacht. He needs to find us before time runs out. What happens if he doesn't? Lily had asked. Victor's smile had tightened. Then we take a long trip together. Now, as afternoon faded into evening, Lily peered through the cabin window. They were anchored in a cove, surrounded by rocky shoreline and dense forest. No other boats or buildings were visible. Noah whimpered softly in his sleep. He'd been fussy all day, missing his formula and the comfort of Harrison's penthouse. Lily stroked his hair, whispering reassurances. She didn't fully believe herself. The cabin door opened. Victor entered with a tray of sandwiches. "Dinner time, little ones," he announced cheerfully. "Eat up, we might be moving soon." "Where's Mr. Harrison?" Lily demanded, trying to sound brave. "Last I heard, he was searching for you in the mountains." Victor chuckled. "Quite far from here." "He'll find us," Lily stated with conviction. "He promised he wouldn't disappear." Something flickered across Victor's face. Annoyance, perhaps. "Alexander makes many promises, child. He promised me once that we'd always be partners, that Horizon would be our shared legacy." His voice hardened. "Then he tried to push me out." "That's not true," Lily said automatically, though she had no way of knowing. Victor studied her curiously. "You're very loyal for someone who's known him less than a week." He sat on the edge of the bed. "Did you know he abandoned your mother, left her pregnant and alone in a foreign country?" Lily said nothing, but her grip on Noah tightened. "Of course Amira never told you that part, did she?" Victor continued. "She was protecting him even after everything. Such a waste." A cold realization settled over Lily. "You hurt my mom." Victor's expression changed, becoming mask-like. "Clever girl, so like your mother. Too observant for your own good." Fear clutched at Lily's chest, but she forced herself to keep talking. Mr. Harrison would come. She just needed to buy time. "Why did you hurt her?" "I didn't," Victor replied, standing. "Janet did that on her own initiative, a regrettable complication." He checked his watch. "Regardless, it's almost over now. Another hour, and Horizon Enterprises becomes mine." "And then you'll let us go?" Lily asked. Victor didn't answer directly. "Finish your dinner. We'll be leaving soon." After he departed, locking the door behind him, Lily scrambled into action. Mom had always said that smart people make plans. She needed a plan. The cabin was small, but well-appointed. Drawers contained clothing, toiletries, emergency supplies. In one, Lily found a flare gun with 3 bright red cartridges. She remembered a documentary she'd watched with her mother. Sailors used these to signal for help. Carefully, she hid the flare gun beneath Noah's blanket, then returned to the window. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the water. How would Mr. Harrison find them here? He didn't even know they were on a boat. Wait, the papers. The special writing. Lily's mind raced back to the documents in Harrison's office, the ones with Arabic script that had started everything. She'd noticed something then, but hadn't mentioned it. A small symbol in the corner that matched a charm her mother always wore around her neck. A charm that now hung on a string around Lily's neck, hidden beneath her shirt. Mom had called it her tracker and joked that she'd always be able to find Lily if she got lost. Could it be more than a joke? A commotion above deck interrupted her thoughts. Shouting, then the sound of running feet. The boat's engine roared to life, and Lily felt the vessel begin to move. They were leaving. Time had run out. Decision made, Lily grabbed the flare gun, positioned Noah in a secure spot surrounded by pillows, and moved to the window. It didn't open, locked or sealed shut. She'd have to break it. Using a heavy brass compass from the desk, Lily struck the glass with all her strength. It cracked but didn't shatter. She hit it again, harder. This time the window broke, sending shards flying. The noise would certainly alert Victor, but it was now or never. Lily aimed the flare gun through the broken window and pulled the trigger. The red flare shot into the darkening sky, illuminating the cove with brilliant crimson light. The cabin door burst open. Victor stood there, rage distorting his features. "What have you done?" he snarled, lunging toward her. Lily backed away, protecting Noah with her body. "He's coming," she said with more confidence than she felt. "Mr. Harrison is coming." Victor grabbed her arm roughly. "There's no one coming, you little fool. We're in the middle of nowhere." But even as he spoke, the distant sound of helicopter rotors cut through the evening air. Harrison had never piloted a helicopter at night over water, but desperation made him reckless. Following the GPS coordinates Detective Morales had sent, he'd headed toward the hunting lodge in the Adirondacks, only to find it empty upon arrival. It was a setback that might have broken a lesser man. But as he stood in the abandoned lodge, something caught his eye. A child's drawing on a scrap of paper, deliberately left on the kitchen table. A crude rendering of a boat on water, with mountains in the background. At the bottom, in careful print, Lily. His daughter had left him a clue. A frantic call to Morales confirmed what Harrison already suspected. The Adirondack property included shoreline on Lake Champlain. Further investigation revealed that Victor owned a yacht, recently moved from its Manhattan marina to a private dock on the lake. Now, as Harrison's helicopter swept low over the water, darkness made visibility nearly impossible. They were searching blindly, hoping for some sign in the vastness of Lake Champlain. "Sir, our fuel is getting critical," the co-pilot warned. "We need to land soon." "5 more minutes," Harrison insisted, scanning the darkness below. That's when he saw it, a bright red flare arcing across the night sky, briefly illuminating the water below. A distress signal. "There," Harrison pointed. "Head for that flare." The helicopter banked sharply, following the dying embers of the flare toward their source. As they drew closer, the spotlight mounted beneath the helicopter illuminated a luxury yacht, cutting through the water at high speed. "Can we land on the deck?" Harrison asked. The pilot shook his head. "Too small, too unstable. Best I can do is get you close enough to jump." It would have to be enough. They descended to 50 feet above the yacht's stern. Harrison could see figures moving on deck, Victor at the helm, and what appeared to be armed men. "Hover as steady as you can," Harrison instructed, stripping off his jacket. "When I'm aboard, contact Morales. Tell him my location." "Sir, this is extremely dangerous," the pilot protested. "My children are on that boat." Harrison's tone brooked no argument. The helicopter maneuvered into position above the yacht's rear deck. Harrison climbed onto the landing skid, judged the distance, and jumped. He hit the deck hard, rolling to absorb the impact. Above, the helicopter immediately veered away, its spotlight still illuminating the yacht. Harrison's presence had been noticed. A man with a gun was already running toward him. Years of martial arts training took over. Harrison dodged the first attack, disarmed his assailant with a swift strike, and used the man's momentum to throw him overboard. The splash was lost in the noise of engines and wind. A second guard appeared, but Harrison was ready. The fight was brief and brutal. Moments later, Harrison was alone on the rear deck, the guard unconscious at his feet. He moved forward cautiously, gun in hand. The yacht was large, 60 feet at least, with multiple cabins and compartments. The children could be anywhere. At the helm, Victor stood silhouetted against the navigation lights, apparently unaware of the commotion behind him. Harrison approached silently, gun raised. "It's over, Victor," he called when he was 10 feet away. Victor turned slowly, unsurprised. Alexander, right on schedule. He gestured toward a digital clock on the console. 11:47, 13 minutes until midnight. "You're cutting it rather close, don't you think?" "Where are my children?" "Safe, for now." Victor's smile was cold. "The question is, what are you willing to trade for them?" "Everything," Harrison answered without hesitation. "Horizon, the Qatari deal, all of it. Just give me my children." Victor seemed genuinely taken aback by Harrison's sincerity. "You would surrender everything we built? For children you didn't even know existed a week ago?" In a heartbeat. Something shifted in Victor's expression, perhaps disappointment, perhaps respect. You've changed, Alexander. Where are they, Victor? Victor gestured toward a door leading below deck. The main cabin. Locked, but I have the key. He reached slowly into his pocket, producing a small brass key. Here. Harrison kept the gun trained on his former friend as he approached. When he reached for the key, Victor moved with surprising speed, grabbing Harrison's wrist and twisting. The gun clattered to the deck. The two men grappled, evenly matched despite the 20-year friendship that had once bound them. They crashed against the helm, sending the yacht veering sharply. Equipment toppled, glass shattered. You were never supposed to find out about them, Victor snarled as they struggled. Amira promised to stay away. The plan was perfect until those brats showed up at your office. Understanding dawned on Harrison. You've known about them all along. Of course I knew. Victor's face contorted with fury. I was there in Jordan when you met her. I saw how she looked at you, like you hung the moon. She was supposed to be mine. The yacht lurched again as a wave caught it broadside. Both men lost their footing. Victor recovered first, lunging for the fallen gun. Harrison tackled him before his fingers could close around the weapon. They crashed into the navigation console, sending the yacht into another wild turn. Warning alarms blared as the vessel pitched dangerously. "Stop!" a small voice cried from the cabin doorway. "You're scaring Noah!" Both men froze. Lily stood there, clutching her brother, tears streaming down her face. "Lily," Harrison gasped, shoving Victor aside. "Are you hurt?" She shook her head. "The boat's going crazy." Victor seized the moment of distraction to grab the gun. He aimed it at Harrison, then shifted to point it at the children. "Nobody move," he ordered. Harrison raised his hands slowly. "Victor, they're innocent children. This is between us. It's too late for that." Victor glanced at the console clock. 4 minutes to midnight. Not enough time to sign the contracts, even if you wanted to. His laugh was bitter. "It's over, Alexander. I've won." "You haven't won anything," Harrison replied calmly. "I spoke with Sheikh Al-Thani hours ago. The deadline has been extended." Doubt flickered across Victor's face. "You're lying." "Call him yourself." Victor's grip on the gun wavered. In that moment of uncertainty, a deafening boom shattered the night. The yacht shuddered violently. They'd hit something, a submerged rock or debris. Water began pouring into the lower compartments. The yacht listed sharply to port. "We're sinking," Harrison realized aloud. He moved toward the children, but Victor blocked his path. "No one is going anywhere," Victor snarled, desperation making him dangerous. "Not until midnight." The yacht groaned as more water flooded in. They had minutes at most before it went under completely. "Victor, this is madness!" Harrison shouted above the alarms. "We need to abandon ship." 2 minutes, Victor insisted, glancing at the clock. 2 minutes, and Horizon is mine. But fate had other plans. With a sickening crack, the yacht's hull gave way completely. Water surged onto the main deck. The vessel began to sink rapidly. Harrison lunged toward Lily and Noah, but the tilting deck sent him sliding away from them. Victor lost his balance, the gun firing wildly before he tumbled overboard. The last thing Harrison saw before the freezing lake water engulfed him was Lily's terrified face, her arms wrapped protectively around Noah as the yacht disappeared beneath them into the black depths of Lake Champlain. The water was so cold, it felt like fire. Harrison fought his way to the surface, gasping for air in the pitch darkness. Around him, debris from the sinking yacht bobbed on the choppy waters of Lake Champlain. "Lily!" he screamed, spinning in place. "Noah!" Only the sound of lapping water answered him. The helicopter's spotlight swept across the area, illuminating floating cushions, splintered wood, and the spreading oil slick from the yacht's ruptured fuel tanks. But no sign of the children. Harrison dove beneath the surface again and again, searching blindly in the murky depths. Each time he emerged empty-handed, more desperate than before. On his fourth dive, his hand brushed against fabric. He grabbed it, pulling upward with all his strength. It was Lily, unconscious, still clutching Noah to her chest. The baby was silent, unmoving. With strength born of pure terror, Harrison swam toward a floating section of deck, hauling the children onto the makeshift raft. Neither was breathing. "No, please, no," he sobbed, beginning CPR on Noah first. The baby's tiny chest rose and fell under Harrison's careful compressions, but he remained unresponsive. After 30 seconds that felt like eternity, Harrison switched to Lily, tilting her head back to clear her airway. The helicopter circled closer, its spotlight creating a perfect circle of illumination around the desperate scene. Harrison could hear sirens in the distance, rescue boats approaching. "Come on, Lily," Harrison pleaded between breaths. "Come back to me, please." Suddenly, Noah coughed, spitting up lake water. His eyes fluttered open, followed by a weak cry. Harrison nearly collapsed with relief, cradling the baby close as he continued working on Lily. "Don't you dare leave me," he told her fiercely. "Not when I've just found you, not when we're supposed to be a family." After what seemed like forever, Lily convulsed, water pouring from her mouth as she gasped for air. Her eyes opened, disoriented at first, then focusing on Harrison's face. "You came," she whispered hoarsely. "Of course I came." Harrison gathered both children in his arms, shielding them from the wind with his body. "I will always come for you. Always." The rescue boats arrived minutes later, emergency personnel carefully transferring the hypothermic trio to the relative safety of the larger vessel. As they were wrapped in thermal blankets, Harrison noticed something clutched in Lily's hand, a small pendant on a broken chain. "Mom's tracker," she murmured when she saw him looking. "I think it helped you find us." Harrison examined the pendant, a delicate silver disc with an Arabic inscription, and what appeared to be a microchip embedded in its center. "Your mother's tracker," he repeated, understanding dawning. "Lily, this isn't just a charm, it's a literal tracking device." The realization hit him like a physical blow. Amira hadn't abandoned him all those years ago. She'd been protecting their children. From what, he still didn't fully understand, but the sophisticated tracking device suggested she'd been prepared for danger. As the rescue boat sped toward shore, Harrison held his children close, watching the helicopter's spotlight search the waters for any sign of Victor Blackwood. There was none. At the lakeside emergency station, doctors examined the children while Harrison made necessary calls. First to Sheikh Al-Thani, confirming that the contract deadline extension remained valid despite the night's chaos. Then to Detective Morales, updating him on Victor's presumed drowning and the recovery of the children. "We found Janet's phone," Morales informed him. "There are messages between her and Victor going back years." "They were planning this for a long time, Harrison. But why? Victor was already wealthy, already a partner in Horizon. According to what we've pieced together, it wasn't just about money or power. It was personal. There are references to Jordan, to someone named Amira. Victor believed she was meant for him." The pieces began falling into place. Victor's inexplicable hatred, his knowledge of the children, his obsession with controlling Horizon. "He loved her," Harrison realized aloud, "and she chose me." The hospital insisted on keeping the children overnight for observation. Harrison refused to leave their side, maintaining a vigil in the shared room where Lily and Noah slept peacefully, their ordeal temporarily forgotten in the mercy of slumber. As dawn broke over Lake Champlain, Harrison's phone vibrated with an incoming text from an unknown number. The message contained only a video file. With trembling fingers, he opened it. Amira's face filled the screen, older than he remembered, but still beautiful, still with those remarkable amber eyes that Lily had inherited. "Alexander," she began, her voice soft but determined. "If you're watching this, then our children have found you and I am gone. There's so much I need to tell you, so much I've kept hidden to protect them. Victor Blackwood is not who you think he is. The company you built together, it's founded on secrets that could destroy you both. Look beneath Horizon Tower, in the sub-basement archives. The truth is there. Keep our children safe. They are everything. The video ended, leaving Harrison staring at a blank screen, his mind reeling with questions. What secrets? What truth? A small hand slipped into his. Lily had awakened and now stood beside him, her eyes solemn in her pale face. "Is Uncle Victor coming back?" she asked. Harrison hesitated, then answered truthfully, "I don't know, sweetheart. But if he does, I'll protect you, both of you, no matter what." Lily nodded, apparently satisfied with his promise. She climbed onto his lap, resting her head against his chest. "Mom said you were a good man," she whispered. "That's why she gave me your name." "My name?" Lily nodded. "My full name is Lily Alexandra Parker. Mom said it was to remember you by." Harrison's throat tightened with emotion. Even separated, Amira had kept him present in their daughter's life. As Lily drifted back to sleep in his arms, Harrison made a silent vow. He would uncover whatever secrets lay beneath Horizon Tower. He would learn the truth about Victor, about Amira, about the company he'd built his life around. But first, he would be the father these children deserved, the father he should have been from the beginning. Outside the hospital window, dawn painted Lake Champlain gold. Somewhere beneath those waters lay the wreckage of Victor's yacht, and possibly Victor himself. But Harrison knew this wasn't over. Some enemies don't stay dead, and some secrets refuse to remain buried. 3 days after the yacht incident, Harrison brought the children home to his Manhattan penthouse. The media had caught wind of the story. Billionaire discovers secret children, thwarts kidnapping attempt, former business partner presumed dead. And reporters camped outside Harrison Tower, hungry for details. Harrison had managed to complete the Qatari deal, signing the contracts from his hospital room while Lily and Noah slept nearby. Sheikh Al-Thani had been surprisingly understanding about the circumstances, even sending elaborate gifts for the children, handcrafted wooden toys from Qatar's finest artisans. But business matters now took a distant back seat to Harrison's new priority, investigating Amira's cryptic warning while establishing a stable home for his children. "Are we staying here forever now?" Lily asked, as Janet's replacement, Sophia, helped unpack the children's new wardrobes. "Yes," Harrison assured her, sitting beside her on the edge of her bed, a hand-carved princess canopy that had been rush-delivered the previous day. "This is your home. What about Uncle Victor?" Her small voice trembled slightly. "The policeman said they didn't find him." Harrison chose his words carefully. "If he's alive, he won't come near you again. I promise." Lily nodded, seemingly satisfied, but Harrison noticed how she still slept with Noah in her room, rather than allowing him to use the nursery they'd prepared. Some wounds would take time to heal. Once the children were settled with Sophia, Harrison descended to the sub-basement levels of Harrison Tower, restricted areas he rarely visited despite owning the building. Amira's message had specifically mentioned the archives, a vast repository of documents dating back to Horizon's founding 20 years earlier. Using his executive override, Harrison entered the climate-controlled archive rooms. The space was immense, row upon row of shelving units containing physical documents, backup drives, and proprietary technology prototypes. Where to begin? Harrison pulled out his phone, replaying Amira's video message for any clue he might have missed. She'd mentioned secrets that could destroy both him and Victor, but gave no specifics about where to look. Harrison began methodically, starting with the earliest files from Horizon's founding. For hours, he pored over incorporation documents, early contracts, and investment records. Nothing seemed unusual until he discovered a sealed folder marked Jordan Acquisition, Classified, dated exactly 20 years earlier. Inside was a contract Harrison had never seen before, an agreement between Victor Blackwood and an entity called Desert Star Holdings, based in Amman, Jordan. The terms outlined the acquisition of proprietary technology related to cryptographic security systems. The signature on behalf of Desert Star belonged to Nazir Al-Fassi, Amira's father. Harrison's pulse quickened. He'd been told Horizon's groundbreaking security systems had been developed in-house. Had Victor stolen or improperly acquired the technology that launched their empire? Deeper in the file, Harrison found photographs, surveillance images of Amira with her father, followed by pictures of Amira with Harrison himself during their brief affair in Jordan. The final image showed Amira boarding a plane to America, visibly pregnant. Attached was a memo in Victor's handwriting: acquisition complete, N eliminated, A departing with package, monitoring in place. The cold implications sent a chill through Harrison. N eliminated could only refer to Nazir Al-Fassi, who had reportedly died in a car accident shortly after Horizon's founding. And package, was that Lily? Had Victor been tracking Amira and their daughter from the beginning? Harrison's phone rang, interrupting his thoughts. Detective Morales. "We found something you should see," the detective said without preamble. Search teams recovered a waterproof case from the yacht wreckage. Inside was a laptop with encrypted files. Our tech team just cracked it. What did they find? Financial records, mostly. Victor had been embezzling from Horizon for years through shell companies, but there's something else. Regular payments to Janet Thompson dating back 6 years, and a series of surveillance reports on Amira Nazari and 2 children. He was watching them the whole time, Harrison realized aloud. There's more. We found evidence linking Victor to Nazir Al-Fassi's death in Jordan 20 years ago. It wasn't an accident. Harrison closed his eyes, the pieces falling into place. Victor murdered Amira's father to steal his technology. Then he monitored Amira all these years to ensure his secret remained safe. That's our theory, Morales confirmed. But we still don't understand why he waited so long to make a move against you. Harrison looked down at the folder in his hands. I think I know. The original patents on the security technology are expiring this year. Victor needed full control of Horizon before anyone could discover the technology was stolen. That explains the timing, Morales agreed, but not why he targeted the children now. As Harrison pondered this, a text message appeared on his phone, from Sophia upstairs. Mr. Harrison, please come immediately. Something's happened with Lily. Harrison found Lily in the bathroom, sobbing uncontrollably while Sophia tried to comfort her. The child's hands and face were red, her skin inflamed from what appeared to be an allergic reaction. What happened? Harrison demanded, kneeling beside his daughter. I don't know, Sophia replied anxiously. She used the new soap in her bath, and within minutes she was covered in hives. Harrison examined the luxury soap, an elegant bar in expensive packaging. The gift basket it came from sat on the vanity counter. Who sent this? He asked sharply. It arrived this morning, Sophia explained, from Sheikh Al-Thani, according to the card. Something clicked in Harrison's mind. He grabbed the gift basket and dumped its contents into the sink. Among the expensive toiletries and treats was a small white card bearing the Sheikh's embossed seal. Harrison flipped it over. The handwriting wasn't the Sheikh's elegant script, but a hasty scrawl. Round 1 to you, Alexander. Round 2 has begun. Victor was alive, and he'd just made his first move. Within the hour, Lily was treated by Harrison's private physician, her reaction subsiding with proper medication. The soap had been laced with an agent that specifically targeted the genetic markers of Harrison's bloodline, a sophisticated bioweapon that would only affect his biological children. How is this possible? Harrison asked Dr. Phillips privately. This level of genetic targeting is beyond current technology. The doctor looked troubled. Not entirely. There are classified military applications being developed. Horizon's security division has a defense contract in this area, if I'm not mistaken. Another piece of the puzzle. Victor had been using Horizon's resources to develop weapons that could target specific individuals based on their DNA. The implications were terrifying. Harrison immediately ordered a complete security overhaul. Every item entering the penthouse would be screened. The children wouldn't leave the building without a full security team. New staff were vetted with extreme prejudice. That night, as Harrison tucked an exhausted Lily into bed, she asked a question that pierced his heart. Why does Uncle Victor want to hurt us? Harrison sat on the edge of her bed, searching for an explanation a 6-year-old could understand. Sometimes people become so focused on what they want, they forget about what's right. But what does he want? Something that isn't his. Harrison brushed a strand of hair from her forehead. Something he can never have. Is it money? Mom said rich people always want more money. Harrison smiled sadly. It's more complicated than money, sweetheart. Lily considered this. Is it because he loved Mom? I heard him tell the lady with the glasses that Mom was supposed to be his. Harrison stilled. When did you hear this? On the boat. He was talking on the phone when he thought I was sleeping. Did he say anything else? Lily's brow furrowed in concentration. He said something about the formula and that no one else could have it. The formula. Harrison's mind raced. What formula could be so valuable that Victor would commit multiple murders and risk everything to possess it? After Lily fell asleep, Harrison returned to the archives, this time focusing on Horizon's classified research projects. Hours of searching yielded nothing until he stumbled upon a hidden safe behind a section of shelving, a safe that responded to his biometric signature despite him having no memory of its installation. Inside was a single flash drive labeled Nazari Formula, Original. Harrison's hands trembled as he plugged it into his secure tablet. The drive contained thousands of pages of research in Arabic and English, Nazir Al-Fassi's life work. As Harrison scrolled through the documents, the true scope of what Victor had stolen became clear. It wasn't just security technology. Al-Fassi had developed an algorithm that could predict and influence human behavior with frightening accuracy, the holy grail of both marketing and military applications. The formula that had made Horizon billions in their security and predictive analytics divisions wasn't Victor's creation. It had been stolen from Amira's father, who was then murdered to conceal the theft. Harrison's phone chimed with a message from Detective Morales. Body recovered from lake, not Victor, female, approximately 40 years old, preliminary ID, Janet Thompson, gunshot wound to head. Victor had eliminated his accomplice to tie up loose ends. Harrison's security chief called next. Sir, we've detected unusual activity in the building's security systems. Someone's attempting to override the protocols for the executive elevator. Lock everything down, Harrison ordered. Full building security protocol Alpha. Already done, sir, but there's something else. We're receiving reports that Victor Blackwood has just appeared on national television, claiming you've had a mental breakdown and kidnapped his godchildren following a boating accident. Harrison froze. Victor was playing his endgame, attacking not just physically but through the media and legal channels. The battle for his children had entered a new, more dangerous phase. Sir, the security chief continued, there are police officers in the lobby with a social worker. They have a court order to check on the children's welfare. The social worker, Ms. Diane Patterson, was a stern-faced woman in her 50s who made it clear she had little patience for billionaires or their problems. The two police officers accompanying her looked distinctly uncomfortable to be caught between a custody dispute among the ultra-wealthy. I understand this is unpleasant, Mr. Harrison, Patterson said as she reviewed her documents in his living room, but serious allegations have been made regarding the children's safety in your care. By a man who kidnapped them and tried to kill us all, Harrison replied evenly. Patterson remained unmoved. Mr. Blackwood's version differs significantly. He claims you've been experiencing paranoid delusions following the discovery of your biological children. He's provided extensive documentation of his role as their godfather and your increasingly erratic behavior. None of that is true. Perhaps not. But the court takes such allegations seriously, especially given your unorthodox acquisition of custody. There's no record of you filing for adoption or guardianship through proper channels. Harrison had anticipated this line of attack. I've submitted DNA confirmation of my paternity to the court, along with emergency custody petitions. My attorneys have been working around the clock to formalize arrangements. So I've been told. Patterson made a note in her file. I still need to evaluate the children's current living situation and speak with them privately. Harrison nodded reluctantly. They're having dinner in the kitchen. I'd appreciate if you'd be gentle. They've experienced severe trauma recently. Patterson's expression softened slightly. I've been doing this for 30 years, Mr. Harrison. I know how to talk to traumatized children. In the kitchen, Lily and Noah were finishing their meal under Sophia's watchful eye. Noah squealed with delight at the sight of Harrison, raising his arms to be picked up. Lily, Noah, this is Ms. Patterson, Harrison explained, lifting Noah from his high chair. She needs to ask you a few questions. Lily's eyes narrowed suspiciously. Are you taking us away? No, sweetheart, Harrison assured her quickly. Ms. Patterson just needs to make sure you're happy and safe here. Patterson intervened. Actually, I'd like to speak with the children alone, Mr. Harrison. For 30 excruciating minutes, Harrison waited in his office while Patterson interviewed Lily privately, then observed Noah in his nursery. When she finally emerged, her expression gave nothing away. Well, Harrison prompted. Lily is remarkably intelligent and articulate for her age, Patterson noted. She speaks very highly of you and appears well-adjusted considering the circumstances. And your recommendation? I see no immediate reason to remove the children from your care, Mr. Harrison. However, the court has ordered supervised visitation with Mr. Blackwood as the custody case proceeds. Absolutely not, Harrison said flatly. That man tried to kill us. So you've claimed, but without proof. I have proof. Harrison handed her a flash drive. Security footage from my building showing Victor and Janet abducting the children, recordings of Janet's confession. Evidence linking Victor to multiple murders, including Amira Nazari's. Patterson accepted the drive cautiously. I'll ensure the judge receives this, but until the court rules otherwise, the visitation order stands. After Patterson and the officers departed, Harrison found Lily in her room, clutching Noah protectively. Are they sending us to Uncle Victor? She asked, fear evident in her voice. Harrison sat beside her on the bed. No, sweetheart, I won't let that happen. She asked lots of questions about him, about you, about Mom. What did you tell her? Lily's expression turned solemn. I told her Uncle Victor hurt Mom. That he said she was supposed to be his, but she chose you instead. Harrison's breath caught. Did your mother ever talk about Victor? Lily nodded. She said he was a bad man pretending to be good. That's why we had to hide. She reached beneath her shirt, pulling out the pendant, Amira's tracker. Mom said if the bad man ever found us, I should use this to find you. Harrison examined the pendant more carefully. It wasn't just a tracking device, it was a sophisticated data storage unit disguised as jewelry, the kind of technology that had made Horizon famous. Lily, your mother was a very brave, very smart woman, Harrison said softly. She said you were smart too, that you'd figure it out if I could just get to you. Figure what out? Lily touched the pendant. How to open this? Mom said it has the truth inside, that only you would know how. Harrison studied the intricate designs etched into the silver disc. They weren't merely decorative. They formed a complex mathematical sequence that looked vaguely familiar. Later that night, after the children were asleep, Harrison worked in his office trying to decode the pendant's security measures. The pattern matched an early encryption algorithm he'd developed during Horizon's founding, an algorithm only he and Victor would recognize. But there was something else embedded in the design, a date. The day he'd met Amira in Jordan, written in a mathematical sequence that represented their exact coordinates at that first meeting. A password only Harrison would understand. When he entered the sequence into his specialized decryption software, the pendant's security protocols disengaged. The tiny device contained terabytes of data, Amira's insurance policy against Victor, video confessions, financial records, the complete original Nazari formula. And most damning of all, footage of Victor murdering Nazir Al-Fassi 20 years earlier. Amira had been gathering evidence against Victor for years, waiting for the right moment to expose him. But she'd died before completing her mission, leaving the task to her daughter and the man she'd never stopped loving. Harrison began uploading the files to secure servers, sending copies to Morales, the FBI, and his attorneys. By morning, Victor Blackwood would be the most wanted man in America. What Harrison didn't know was that Victor had anticipated this move, and he was already executing his contingency plan, one that would strike at Harrison's newly healed heart. Morning brought chaos. Harrison awoke to his security chief pounding on his bedroom door. "Sir, you need to see this immediately." In the living room, every news channel carried the same story. Tech billionaire accused of stealing breakthrough technology. Victor had gone public with claims that Harrison had stolen the Nazari formula from him, not the other way around. Worse, he'd released doctored videos appearing to show Harrison confessing to the theft and to arranging Nazir Al-Fassi's murder. "How is this possible?" Harrison demanded, watching the doctored footage of himself. The voice was his, the face was his, but the words were pure fiction. "Deepfake technology," his security chief explained grimly. "Extremely sophisticated. Horizon's own labs have been working on this capability for defense applications." Harrison's phone erupted with calls. Board members, investors, attorneys, all demanding explanations. The company's stock was in freefall. Government agencies were announcing investigations. And somewhere in the midst of this hurricane, Victor was watching, waiting for Harrison's world to collapse. But Harrison had more immediate concerns. As the morning progressed, more evidence emerged. Falsified financial records showing Harrison embezzling billions, manufactured emails discussing the murder of Amira Nazari, and worst of all, manipulated audio of Harrison allegedly planning to use the children as leverage against Victor. By noon, public opinion had shifted dramatically. Outside Harrison Tower, protesters gathered with signs condemning the child-exploiting billionaire. Online, the hashtag #JusticeForLily was trending as social media users demanded the children be rescued from Harrison's custody. "Sir," Sophia interrupted his crisis management meeting, "Ms. Patterson is here with police officers. They have a removal order for the children." Harrison's blood ran cold. "Where are Lily and Noah now?" "In the panic room, as per your security protocol. No one can access them without your authorization." Harrison nodded. "Keep them there. Tell them, I'll come soon." The confrontation with Patterson was brief and heated. She presented a court order signed by Judge William Cranston, a name Harrison recognized as an old friend of Victor's. "This is a setup," Harrison insisted. "The evidence against me is fabricated." "That's for the courts to decide," Patterson replied coolly. "Meanwhile, the children will be placed in emergency foster care." "You mean with Victor?" Mr. Blackwood has been granted temporary guardianship pending investigation. He's their godfather, after all. He's a murderer, Harrison countered, and I have proof. Patterson sighed. Mr. Harrison, every hour more evidence emerges against you. Your own security footage showing the children's abduction, apparently edited. The confession from your assistant, coerced according to new witnesses. Even the DNA tests confirming your paternity are now being questioned. This is insane. Perhaps, but I have a court order, and I expect you to comply. Harrison had anticipated this moment from the beginning. I'd like to say goodbye to the children first. Patterson hesitated, then nodded. 5 minutes. The officers will accompany you. In the panic room, Harrison knelt before Lily, who held Noah protectively. Listen carefully, sweetheart. Some people are coming to take you away for a little while. Tears filled Lily's eyes. You promised we could stay. And I meant it. This is temporary. I'm going to fix everything. Is it Uncle Victor? Is he making them take us? Harrison nodded. He's told lies about me, bad lies that people believe right now. Then tell them the truth. Mom always said truth beats lies. I'm trying, sweetheart, but it might take a little time. Harrison lowered his voice to a whisper. Remember what we practiced. If anything feels wrong or scary. Lily nodded solemnly. The special words, and the phone in my teddy bear. That's right. Use it if you need me, day or night. Harrison hugged them both fiercely. I love you, both of you. Don't ever forget that. Time's up, mister. Harrison, one of the officers called from the doorway. As the children were led away, Harrison maintained his composure, even as his world crumbled around him. Only when the elevator doors closed behind them did he allow himself a moment of raw emotion. Then he made a call to the one person who might help him navigate this nightmare, his ex-wife, federal judge Catherine Harrison. I need your help, Catherine, he said when she answered. Victor has taken everything. Her response was immediate and resolute. Tell me what you need. Despite their divorce 10 years earlier, Catherine had remained one of the few people Harrison truly trusted. As a federal judge with impeccable credentials and powerful connections, she represented his best hope of cutting through Victor's manipulations. I need the truth to matter again, Harrison told her, and I need my children back. What Catherine said next would change everything. Alexander, there's something you should know. The judge who signed that removal order, he was found dead in his home an hour ago. Victor is tying up loose ends. Judge William Cranston's death was reported as a heart attack, but Catherine's sources in law enforcement confirmed what Harrison already suspected. The judge had been eliminated after serving his purpose in Victor's scheme. Victor's playing a dangerous game, Catherine observed as they reviewed the falsified evidence against Harrison in her Georgetown home. She'd insisted he leave New York immediately, arranging a private flight and secure transportation to keep him off Victor's radar. It's not a game anymore, Harrison replied grimly. It's scorched earth. He's determined to destroy everything I care about, including Horizon, especially Horizon. Harrison paced the room restlessly. The company's entire value is built on the Nazari formula. If the truth comes out that it was stolen, Horizon collapses overnight. And the children become his leverage to force your silence, Catherine concluded. Diabolical but effective. Harrison stopped pacing. I don't care about Horizon anymore. I just want Lily and Noah safe. Catherine studied him thoughtfully. You've changed, Alexander. Becoming a father changes a man. Even after only 1 week? There was no judgment in her tone, only curiosity. Harrison's expression softened. The moment I knew they were mine, everything shifted. Nothing else matters now. Catherine nodded, reaching a decision. Then we fight fire with fire. Victor has manipulated the legal system and public opinion against you. We'll do the same to him. How? I still have friends in high places, people who owe me favors. Catherine pulled out her phone. First, we need to know where the children are. Victor wouldn't risk keeping them at his known properties. Harrison checked his watch anxiously. It had been 6 hours since the children were taken. The tracking device in Lily's teddy bear remained active but stationary. A luxury hotel in Manhattan. Harrison doubted they would stay there long. I've been monitoring the emergency foster placement system, Catherine continued. There's no record of Lily and Noah Parker entering the system. Victor has them off the books. Is that good or bad? Both. It means they're not in the system where they'd be harder to recover, but it also means they're completely under Victor's control with no oversight. Harrison's phone buzzed, a text from an encrypted number. Accessing emergency phone, location compromised. Moving soon. Help us. L. Lily had managed to activate the secure phone he'd hidden in her teddy bear. The message was brief but clear. Victor knew about the tracking device and was relocating the children. We're out of time, Harrison said, showing Catherine the message. We need to move now. Catherine's expression hardened. I'll make the calls. My security team will be ready in 30 minutes. I'm not waiting, Harrison replied, already heading for the door. Send them to the hotel. I'll meet them there. Alexander, this is reckless. Victor will be expecting you. Good. Let him focus on me while your team extracts the children. Catherine grabbed his arm. And if he kills you? What then? Who fights for Lily and Noah? Her words stopped him cold. She was right, of course. Charging in alone would only play into Victor's hands. 30 minutes, he conceded. Not a second more. Those 30 minutes were the longest of Harrison's life. He used the time to make necessary arrangements, activating emergency protocols at Horizon to protect key systems, transferring control of his personal assets to a blind trust Catherine would manage, and recording a video statement detailing Victor's crimes to be released if anything happened to him. When Catherine's security team arrived, 4 ex-military specialists led by a former Delta Force commander named Mitchell, Harrison felt a surge of hope for the first time since the children had been taken. Our intelligence suggests 6 hostiles in the hotel suite, Mitchell briefed them. The children are being kept in the interior bedroom. Extraction will be quick and clean. And Victor? Harrison asked. Mitchell's expression remained neutral. Not our primary concern. We get the children out. Law enforcement can handle Blackwood afterward. Harrison knew what remained unspoken. If Victor interfered with the extraction, Mitchell's team would eliminate the threat without hesitation. Catherine's resources extended beyond the legal system. The operation was set for midnight. As the team made final preparations, Harrison received another message from Lily's hidden phone. Moving at midnight. Black car. Basement garage. Please hurry. The timing couldn't be worse or more suspicious. It's a trap, Mitchell stated flatly when Harrison showed him the message. Blackwood knows about the tracking device and is using it to lure you in. Or Lily found a way to warn us, Harrison countered. Either way, we adjust the plan, Catherine decided. Mitchell, split your team. 2 for the suite, 2 for the garage. And me? Harrison asked. Catherine and Mitchell exchanged looks. Neither location, Mitchell answered. You stay with the command vehicle. If things go south, we need you clear to make decisions. Harrison wanted to argue, but recognized the tactical wisdom. His presence would only complicate the extraction. At precisely midnight, Operation Homecoming began. Mitchell's team moved into position around the hotel, while Harrison and Catherine monitored from a secure van 2 blocks away. Through body cameras, they watched the coordinated assault unfold. The suite team breached the hotel room silently, finding it occupied by 4 armed men, but no children and no Victor. Simultaneously, the garage team identified a black SUV with diplomatic plates preparing to exit. We have visual on targets, came the terse update from the garage team. 2 adults, 2 children, preparing to intercept. Harrison's heart raced as he watched the feed from the garage. The team moved with practiced precision, blocking the SUV's exit and approaching with weapons drawn. That's when everything went wrong. The SUV's windows lowered, but instead of Victor, Janet Thompson's face appeared, very much alive despite reports of her death. "It's a decoy!" Harrison shouted, but his warning came too late. The garage erupted in gunfire as hidden shooters emerged from surrounding vehicles. Mitchell's two-man team returned fire, seeking cover behind concrete pillars. "Abort and regroup," Mitchell ordered over the comm system. "All units withdraw." In the chaos, the black SUV slipped past the barricade and disappeared into the Manhattan night, taking with it Harrison's last hope of recovering his children. "Janet's alive." Harrison stared at the surveillance footage, still processing the implications. Victor faked her death just like he faked his own, and used her as a decoy while he moved the children elsewhere, Catherine added grimly. The body recovered from the lake was someone else entirely, Harrison finished. Probably another loose end Victor needed to eliminate. They had retreated to a safe house in rural Pennsylvania, one of Catherine's contingency properties, unknown to Victor or his network of informants. Mitchell's team had suffered one casualty in the garage ambush. The wounded operative was now receiving medical attention from a trusted doctor who asked no questions. "We need to change our approach," Catherine said, studying the map of Victor's known properties displayed on her tablet. "He's anticipating our moves, which means he has inside information." "Or he knows me too well," Harrison suggested. 20 years as business partners, he can predict how I'll react." Catherine shook her head. "This is more than intuition. The precision of his countermoves suggests active surveillance. Your communications may be compromised." Harrison handed over his phone and tablet. "Check everything. I'm not taking any chances." While Catherine's security team swept their electronics for spyware, Harrison paced the living room, his mind racing. The children had been in Victor's custody for nearly 24 hours now. Every hour increased the danger. "Alexander," Catherine called from the kitchen, where her tech specialist was examining their devices. "There's something you need to see." The specialist had opened Harrison's tablet to reveal sophisticated surveillance software embedded deep in the operating system, far beyond commercial spyware capabilities. "It's military grade," the specialist explained. "Developed for intelligence agencies. Your device has been completely compromised. Camera, microphone, location, everything." "How long?" Harrison demanded. "Based on the installation timestamp, about 6 months. 6 months. Well before the children entered his life. Victor had been planning this operation for far longer than Harrison had realized. "There's something else," the specialist continued, showing them a hidden folder. "The spyware has been collecting and storing data locally, including this." The folder contained hundreds of images, surveillance photos of Amira and the children dating back years. Their apartment, their routines, their most private moments, all documented meticulously. The final images showed Amira's confrontation with Janet on the night of her death. "He's been watching them their entire lives," Harrison whispered, horrified by the invasion, "waiting for the right moment to strike." "But why?" Catherine pressed. "What does Victor gain by taking your children?" Harrison studied the surveillance timeline, a terrible suspicion forming. The Nazari formula. Amira's father designed it to respond to genetic markers, to be controlled by his bloodline as a safeguard against misuse. "You think the children are keys to the formula somehow?" "Not both of them," Harrison realized with growing dread. "Noah. Victor needs Noah specifically." Harrison pulled up the original research from the pendant's data storage. Nazir Al-Fassi had indeed built genetic safeguards into his creation. The formula required periodic reactivation by a direct male descendant to prevent unauthorized applications. "That's why Victor waited until Noah was born," Harrison explained. He needed a male heir of the Nazari bloodline. But Noah is your son, Catherine pointed out, not Amira's father's direct descendant. He carries both our DNA. The Nazari markers come through Amira while mine. Harrison paused as another realization struck him. My God! The soap that caused Lily's reaction. Victor was testing his genetic weapon, confirming Noah's bloodline before taking him. Catherine's expression darkened. If you're right, once Victor gets what he needs from Noah, the children become expendable. Harrison finished, unable to complete the thought. The implications galvanized them into action. While Catherine activated her judicial connections to issue federal warrants against Victor and freeze his assets, Harrison focused on locating the children. The tracking device in Lily's teddy bear had gone dark shortly after the garage incident, suggesting Victor had found and disabled it. But Harrison had implemented a backup. The tracker pendant Lily wore contained not just data storage, but a secondary GPS transmitter designed to activate only when the primary tracker failed. Accessing the secure server monitoring the pendant's signal, Harrison found what he was looking for, a faint transmission originating from an unexpected location. Not one of Victor's properties, but a research facility in upstate New York owned by a Horizon subsidiary. He's taken them to the Geneva complex, Harrison told Catherine. It's a classified research installation where Horizon conducts its most sensitive work, including genetic testing. Can you access it? My clearance was likely revoked when Victor seized control of Horizon, but the facility's security systems were designed using my biometric signature as the master key. No matter what protocols Victor has changed, my presence would trigger override capabilities. Catherine studied the satellite imagery of the heavily guarded compound. Getting in won't be easy. That place looks like a fortress. It is, Harrison confirmed, but I designed it. I know every weakness, every blind spot. He turned to Mitchell. How quickly can your team be ready? 6 hours to gather equipment and personnel, Mitchell replied. We'll need more than 4 operators for a facility this size. Make it 3 hours, Harrison countered. Victor needs Noah for the reactivation sequence. Once that's complete, the children become liabilities. As the team began preparations for the assault, Harrison retreated to a quiet corner of the safe house, confronting the possibility that he might fail, that he might lose the children he'd only just found. For the first time in his adult life, Alexander Harrison prayed. The Geneva complex rose from the Adirondack forest like an alien structure, all gleaming glass and steel, surrounded by 3 layers of security fencing. Surveillance drones patrolled the airspace above, while armed guards monitored ground approaches. To casual observers, it resembled a high-tech corporate retreat. Few knew of the classified research conducted in its subterranean levels. Harrison studied the compound through night vision binoculars from their position in the surrounding woods. Mitchell's expanded team, now 12 operators with specialized equipment, waited for his signal. Main entrance is heavily guarded, Harrison observed. Service tunnel is our best option. The service tunnel, a half-mile underground passage designed for maintenance access, had been Harrison's idea during the facility's construction. A precaution, he'd called it then, an emergency exit if needed. Now it would serve as their entry point. Thermal imaging shows minimal activity in the tunnel, Mitchell reported. 2 guards at the exterior entrance, likely 2 more inside. Harrison nodded. Once we're in, we'll need to access the central security hub to locate the children. My biometrics should still work on the primary systems. And if they don't? Catherine asked from their command position a safe distance away. Then we do this the hard way. The assault began at 3:17 a.m. Mitchell's team neutralized the exterior guards silently, using tranquilizer darts rather than lethal force. Harrison had insisted on minimizing casualties. These were Horizon employees following orders, not enemies. The service tunnel stretched before them, dimly lit and eerily silent. Harrison led the way, guided by memorized blueprints and instinct. 20 minutes of careful advancement brought them to the interior security checkpoint, where another pair of guards monitored access to the main facility. Mitchell's hand signals coordinated the team's approach. Seconds later, both guards were unconscious, and Harrison was accessing the security terminal with his thumbprint. To his surprise, the system accepted his biometrics. "Victor didn't remove my access," Harrison realized aloud. "He wanted me to come." "It's a trap," Mitchell stated flatly, "almost certainly, but we proceed anyway." The security monitors revealed the facility's current status: minimal staff, reduced security protocols, all systems functioning normally. One screen showed Victor in the main laboratory, surrounded by technical equipment and several white-coated scientists. Noah was there, strapped into what resembled a medical examination chair, electrodes attached to his tiny body. Of Lily, there was no sign. "Where's the girl?" Mitchell demanded, scanning the monitors. Harrison felt cold dread settling in his stomach. "Find her! Now!" They split into two teams, Mitchell leading the main force toward the laboratory to extract Noah, while Harrison and two operators searched for Lily. According to the facility blueprints, there were 3 locations where she might be held: the executive quarters, the medical wing, or the secure containment cells. Harrison chose to check the executive suite first, following his intuition. Victor had always appreciated luxury, even in crisis situations. The opulent quarters designed for visiting dignitaries would appeal to his sense of entitlement. The suite was accessed through a private elevator requiring executive clearance. Harrison's thumbprint once again granted access, raising further alarms in his mind. Why would Victor leave these vulnerabilities intact unless he wanted Harrison to find him? The elevator opened onto a lavishly appointed living area, all leather and mahogany, with panoramic windows overlooking the moonlit forest. And there, curled on a sofa in princess pajamas, was Lily, apparently asleep. Harrison rushed to her side, checking for injuries. She stirred at his touch, eyes fluttering open. "Daddy!" she murmured, the word sending a jolt through Harrison's heart. It was the first time she'd called him that. "I'm here, sweetheart," he whispered, gathering her into his arms. "You're safe now." "He took Noah away," she said, fully awake now and clearly frightened. "The bad man said Noah had to help with the special medicine." "I know. We're going to get him back right now." Harrison's earpiece crackled with Mitchell's voice. "Primary target secured. Lab area contains 6 hostiles, 4 scientists. Blackwood is present, awaiting your order." Harrison faced a crucial decision: extract Lily immediately to safety, or join the assault to rescue Noah. Before he could decide, the suite's main screen activated automatically. Victor's face appeared, smiling that familiar shark-like grin. "Alexander, right on schedule." "Where's my son, Victor?" "Safe, for the moment." Victor adjusted the camera to show Noah, still strapped to the examination chair but now surrounded by Mitchell's operators. The scientists stood with their hands raised in surrender. "As you can see," Victor continued, "your rescue team has reached us. Quite impressive. But did you really think I hadn't prepared for this possibility?" Victor held up a small device resembling a remote detonator. "The facility's self-destruct sequence is now armed. A precaution I installed without your knowledge during construction. One press and the entire complex goes up in flames." Harrison felt Lily trembling against him. "What do you want, Victor?" "The same thing I've always wanted. Control of what should have been mine from the beginning. Horizon is already yours. The Nazari formula is yours. You've won." Victor laughed. "This was never about Horizon, Alexander. It was about legacy. Nazir chose Amira to carry on his work, not me. She chose you to father her children, not me. At every turn, I was denied what should have been mine by right of superior vision." "You're insane," Harrison realized aloud. On the contrary, I'm the only one seeing clearly. Victor's expression hardened. Here's what happens next. You will use your biometric signature to transfer all Horizon patents and intellectual property to my new holding company. You will publicly confess to stealing the Nazari formula and to arranging Nazir's murder, and you will relinquish all parental rights to the children. Never. Then we all die here tonight. Victor's finger hovered over the detonator. Your choice, Alexander, your pride or your children's lives. Harrison looked down at Lily, who stared back with Amira's amber eyes. In them he saw fear, but also a fierce determination that mirrored his own. If I agree, how do I know you'll let the children go? You don't, Victor replied coldly. That's the beauty of absolute power. You must simply trust my mercy. Harrison activated his comlink to Mitchell. Status? Team in position. We have the boy, awaiting your order. Harrison made his decision. Victor, I'm coming to you. We'll discuss terms face to face. How civilized, Victor mocked. You have 5 minutes to reach the laboratory. Come alone or I detonate immediately. The screen went dark. Harrison knelt before Lily. Sweetheart, I need you to go with these men. They're going to take you somewhere safe. What about Noah? What about you? I'm going to get Noah now, then I'll come find you, I promise. Lily's small hand touched his face. He's going to hurt you. Maybe, but sometimes we have to risk getting hurt to protect the people we love. Harrison handed Lily to one of the operators with explicit instructions to evacuate her immediately. Then he headed toward the laboratory to confront the man who had destroyed so many lives in his pursuit of what was never his to claim. The laboratory gleamed with cutting-edge technology, screens displaying complex genetic sequences, servers humming with computational power, medical equipment adapted for purposes Harrison could only guess at. In the center stood Victor, surrounded by Mitchell's operators, who maintained a respectful distance due to the detonator still clutched in his hand. Noah remained strapped to the examination chair, electrodes monitoring his vital signs. He looked frightened but unharmed, his eyes lighting up at the sight of Harrison. "Release my son," Harrison demanded without preamble. Victor's smile was cold. "All in good time. First we complete our business." Harrison scanned the room, assessing options. Mitchell's team had secured the scientists in one corner. Noah was approximately 15 feet away. Victor stood between them, the detonator his insurance policy against any aggressive move. "The transfer documents are prepared," Victor continued, gesturing to a computer terminal. "Your biometric signature will finalize them. Additionally, I've prepared a video confession for you to read." "And then you'll release Noah?" "Of course." Victor's tone made it clear he was lying. Harrison moved toward the terminal, mind racing through scenarios. The moment he completed the transfer, he and the children would become expendable. Victor had already demonstrated his willingness to eliminate anyone who stood in his way. "You've gone to extraordinary lengths, Victor," Harrison observed, stalling for time. "Murdered multiple people, destroyed countless lives. All for what? Technology you've already controlled for 20 years? It was never about the technology." Victor's expression darkened. "It was about what was rightfully mine. Amira should have been mine. Her children should have been mine. You took everything, Alexander, without even appreciating what you had." "A psychological vulnerability." Harrison pressed further. "Amira never loved you, Victor. She saw through you from the beginning." Anger flashed across Victor's features. "She would have loved me if you hadn't interfered. I offered her everything, protection, wealth, status. Instead, she chose a brief affair with you, then spent years hiding like a hunted animal. She chose freedom over your obsession." Victor's grip on the detonator tightened. "Enough talking. Complete the transfer." Harrison reached the terminal, placing his hand on the biometric scanner. As his palm made contact, he gave Mitchell an imperceptible nod. Everything happened at once. Mitchell's team moved with coordinated precision. One operator diving toward Noah to shield him, two others tackling the nearest fire suppression system. Harrison lunged across the terminal at Victor, targeting the hand holding the detonator. Victor, anticipating the move, stepped back and pressed the button. Alarms blared throughout the facility. A computerized voice announced, "Self-destruct sequence initiated. All personnel evacuate immediately. Detonation in 10 minutes." "You're insane!" Harrison shouted, still grappling with Victor for control of the now useless detonator. Victor laughed maniacally. "If I can't have what's mine, no one will." The fight that followed was brutal and desperate. Victor, despite his age, proved remarkably strong, fueled by hatred and obsession. They crashed into equipment, sending sparks flying as vital machinery shattered. Mitchell's team worked frantically to free Noah and evacuate the scientists. "Sir, we need to leave now," Mitchell shouted above the alarms. Harrison, momentarily distracted by the warning, failed to see Victor retrieve a scalpel from a nearby tray. The blade sliced across his arm, drawing a line of crimson. Victor followed with a savage kick that sent Harrison sprawling. "I would have preferred you live with your humiliation," Victor snarled, advancing with the scalpel. "But this ending has a certain poetry to it as well." Harrison scrambled backward, searching for a weapon among the debris. His hand closed around a heavy metal canister, a fire extinguisher dislodged in their struggle. As Victor lunged, Harrison swung the extinguisher with all his strength. It connected with Victor's temple with a sickening crunch. The older man collapsed, blood streaming from the wound. "Mr. Harrison," Mitchell had returned, "Noah is secure. We need to evacuate now. The self-destruct can't be aborted." Harrison staggered to his feet, the facility trembling around them as preliminary charges detonated in the lower levels. "Where's Lily?" "Already outside with the extraction team. 7 minutes until total detonation." Harrison looked down at Victor's unconscious form. Despite everything, he couldn't leave the man to die. "Help me with him." Mitchell clearly wanted to object, but assisted in hoisting Victor's limp body. Together, they carried him through corridors, now filling with smoke, as fires spread through the complex. The extraction route led them through service tunnels, now dangerously compromised by structural damage. Twice, they had to detour around collapsed sections, precious minutes ticking away. 5 minutes to detonation, the automated system announced emotionlessly. They reached the exterior tunnel entrance with seconds to spare, emerging into the cold night air, as the first major explosions rocked the Geneva complex. The forest around them illuminated with the hellish glow of the burning facility. Medical personnel rushed forward, taking charge of the injured Victor. Harrison pushed past them, searching frantically for his children. He found them in the command vehicle, Lily holding Noah protectively, both wrapped in emergency blankets. The moment she saw Harrison, Lily launched herself into his arms. "You came back," she whispered against his neck. "You really came back." "I promised I would." Noah reached for him with chubby arms, and Harrison gathered both children close, overwhelmed by the simple miracle of their survival. Behind them, the Geneva complex collapsed in a spectacular series of explosions. 20 years of Horizon's most classified research reduced to flaming rubble. The Nazari formula, the genetic targeting technology, all of it destroyed along with Victor's twisted ambitions. Catherine approached, her expression grave despite their apparent victory. "Alexander, we have a problem." "What now?" Victor regained consciousness briefly. He said something about a contingency plan already in motion. Something about the children still being his ultimate revenge. Harrison felt a chill that had nothing to do with the night air. "What does that mean?" "I don't know, but I think our fight isn't over yet." Harrison looked down at Lily and Noah, now sleeping peacefully against his chest, exhausted by their ordeal. It doesn't matter what Victor has planned. I'll protect them, whatever it takes. As dawn broke over the smoking ruins of the Geneva complex, emergency vehicles converged on the scene. Government agencies would soon arrive, demanding explanations. The media would uncover the story eventually, spinning narratives beyond Harrison's control. But for this moment, holding his children safe in his arms, none of that mattered. Victor had taken everything from him, his company, his reputation, his legacy, everything except what had become most precious. And in losing everything else, Harrison had discovered what truly mattered. 6 weeks after the Geneva complex incident, life had achieved an unexpected normalcy. Harrison had relocated with the children to Catherine's Georgetown home, while legal proceedings against Victor continued. The evidence from Amira's pendant, combined with the testimony of Janet Thompson, who had turned state's witness in exchange for leniency, had cleared Harrison's name and implicated Victor in multiple felonies. Victor himself remained under guard in a secure medical facility, recovering from his injuries while awaiting trial. The government had seized control of Horizon Enterprises pending investigation, with Harrison cooperating fully to salvage what remained of the company he'd built. Most importantly, Lily and Noah were thriving. Lily had started attending a private school with excellent security, making friends and adjusting to their new life with remarkable resilience. Noah, now 14 months old, was walking confidently and adding new words to his vocabulary daily. His favorite, to Harrison's constant delight, was Dada. On this particular evening, Harrison sat on the patio watching Lily teach Noah how to blow bubbles, the simple joy of the moment almost making him forget the shadows still hanging over them. Catherine joined him, handing over a glass of wine. "They look happy." "They are," Harrison agreed. "Kids are amazingly adaptable." "And you? How are you adapting to fatherhood?" Harrison smiled. "Better than I expected. Turns out I had untapped reserves of patience." "And sleep deprivation tolerance," Catherine added wryly, having witnessed his 3 a.m. walks with a fussy Noah. The comfortable moment was interrupted by the arrival of Detective Morales, now working with the FBI task force, investigating Victor's crimes. Harrison had been expecting him. The detective had called earlier, requesting an urgent meeting. "Sorry to intrude on family time," Morales said, declining Catherine's offer of refreshments. "But we've discovered something you need to know immediately." Harrison sent Lily and Noah inside with their nanny, sensing the gravity of Morales' news. "Victor's contingency plan," Morales began without preamble. "We've figured out what it is." Harrison tensed. "Tell me." "Before his capture, Victor established a trust fund for the children. $5 billion to be held until their 21st birthdays. "That doesn't sound threatening," Catherine observed cautiously. "The money isn't the threat," Morales continued. "It's the conditions attached. The trust documents include a video message to be delivered to the children on their 18th birthdays, revealing the truth about their father." "What truth?" Harrison demanded. Morales hesitated. "We've viewed the recording. It's disturbing. Victor claims that you arranged Amira's murder to gain custody of the children, whom you needed for the genetic key to the Nazari formula. He presents doctored evidence suggesting you've been manipulating them their entire lives." The implications hit Harrison like a physical blow. "He's poisoning their future, ensuring they'll turn against me even if he's gone. There's more," Morales added grimly. "The trust is irrevocable. Even with Victor imprisoned, the video will be delivered when the time comes. Our legal team says there's no way to prevent it without violating numerous laws." Harrison felt sick. Victor's ultimate revenge wasn't death or financial ruin. It was stealing the children's love and trust when they were old enough to understand the lies. "There has to be a way to stop this," Catherine insisted. "Legal channels, perhaps." I've already explored every option, Morales interrupted. The trust was established through an intricate web of offshore entities. It's untouchable. Harrison stood abruptly. Then I have 12 years to prepare them for the lies. 12 years to build enough trust and truth that they'll recognize Victor's deception when they see it. The conversation was interrupted by Lily's appearance at the patio door. "Daddy, Noah's asking for you." Harrison forced a smile. "Coming, sweetheart." After settling the children for the night, Harrison returned to find Catherine and Morales still deep in discussion about legal strategies. He raised a hand to silence them. "I've made my decision," he announced. "We tell them the truth, everything. As they grow older and can understand more, we explain exactly who Victor is and what he did. No secrets, no evasions." "Alexander," Catherine cautioned, "they're children. Lily's only 6 and Noah's a baby. They can't process this kind of trauma." "Not all at once," Harrison agreed, "but in age-appropriate ways, over time. When Victor's video arrives on their 18th birthdays, it won't be a shocking revelation. It will be old news, long understood and processed." Morales looked skeptical. "It's a risk. Children are impressionable." "So is a lie," Harrison countered. "I won't let Victor's poison work in the dark. Bring it into the light, and it loses its power." Later that night, after everyone had departed, Harrison sat beside Lily's bed, watching her sleep. In repose, her resemblance to Amira was even more striking. The same delicate features, the same determined set of the jaw even in slumber. "I'll protect you," he whispered. "Not just your body, but your heart and mind too, whatever it takes." Lily stirred, eyes fluttering open. "Daddy, is something wrong?" "No, sweetheart. Everything's fine. Go back to sleep." She studied him with that unnervingly perceptive gaze. "You look sad," Harrison managed a smile. "Not sad, just thinking." "About Mom?" "Yes, about how brave she was, how much she loved you." Lily sat up, suddenly fully awake. "She loved you too. She told me once that you were the only man brave enough to match her." Harrison blinked back unexpected tears. "She said that?" Lily nodded solemnly. "She said if anything happened to her, I should find you, because you would always do the right thing, even when it was hard." "I'm trying, Lily. I promise I'm trying." She reached up to touch his face, a gesture so like Amira's it made his heart ache. "I know. That's why I'm not scared anymore." As Harrison held his daughter close, he realized that Victor's revenge had already failed. No video, no lies, no elaborate scheme could sever the bond forming between him and these children. A bond built not on the brief time they'd known each other, but on the truth of who they were together, survivors, fighters, family. Victor had never understood that. For all his calculating brilliance, he'd never grasped that love wasn't something you could steal or manipulate or control. It was something you earned through sacrifice, through showing up when it mattered most, through choosing someone else's well-being above your own. In trying to destroy Harrison by threatening his children, Victor had instead given him the greatest gift imaginable, the chance to be the father these children deserved. The father Amira had always believed he could be. 6 months later, the Connecticut shoreline sparkled under a perfect June sky. Harrison stood on the deck of his newly purchased beach house, watching Lily and Noah play in the gentle surf. Their laughter carried on the breeze, a sound that still caught him by surprise with its power to heal old wounds. "They're thriving," Catherine observed, joining him at the railing. "Lily's teacher says she's academically 2 grades ahead and making friends easily now. And Noah's pediatrician says he's meeting all his developmental milestones early," Harrison added proudly, "despite everything they've been through." The past 6 months had brought monumental changes. Victor's trial had concluded with multiple life sentences without possibility of parole. Horizon Enterprises had been restructured, with Harrison retaining a minority stake but stepping back from daily operations to focus on his family. Most importantly, Harrison had officially adopted Lily and Noah, their new birth certificates acknowledging him as their father, not just biologically but legally. The children had taken his surname, becoming Lily Alexandra Harrison and Noah Alexander Harrison, a symbolic fresh start for all of them. "The trust fund issue remains unresolved," Catherine reminded him gently. "Victor's lawyers continue to block all attempts to modify the terms." "It doesn't matter," Harrison replied with newfound serenity. "We're building something stronger than Victor's lies, a life based on truth and trust. By the time they're 18, they'll be more than capable of recognizing manipulation." The sound of a car approaching interrupted their conversation. Harrison tensed momentarily, a habit formed during the months of security concerns following Victor's arrest. But the vehicle was expected. Detective Morales, arriving with the final piece of evidence from Amira's life. "Sorry I'm late," Morales called, climbing the deck stairs with a weathered cardboard box in his arms. Traffic on the interstate was brutal. Harrison accepted the box reverently. Inside were the personal effects recovered from Amira's apartment, items that had been held as evidence until Victor's conviction was secured. Books, photographs, journals, the tangible remnants of the woman who had protected their children so fiercely. "Thank you," Harrison said simply, "for everything." Morales nodded, understanding the depth of gratitude behind those simple words. He'd gone far beyond professional duty in his pursuit of justice for Amira and her children. "There's something else," Morales added, reaching into his jacket pocket. "This was found in a safe deposit box Victor maintained under an alias. We only discovered it last week during the asset seizure process." He handed Harrison a small USB drive. "It's addressed to you. Our technical team checked it for malware. It's clean." After Morales departed and Catherine took the children for ice cream, Harrison retreated to his office to view the drive's contents. It contained a single video file dated just days before Amira's death. With trembling fingers, he pressed play. Amira's face filled the screen, older than in his memories, worry lines etched around her eyes, but still beautiful, still unmistakably the woman who had captured his heart 20 years earlier in Jordan. "Alexander," she began, her voice soft but determined, "if you're watching this, then our children have found you, and my worst fears have come true. Victor has made his move against us." She looked away briefly, collecting herself before continuing. "I've spent years gathering evidence of Victor's crimes, the murder of my father, the theft of his work, the surveillance of our children. Everything is stored in the pendant I've given Lily. I pray it reaches you." Harrison touched the pendant now hanging on a chain around his own neck, Amira's final gift. "There's something you should know," Amira continued. "I never told you about my pregnancy because Victor threatened to kill you if I did. He was obsessed with me, with controlling my father's legacy. I chose to disappear to protect both you and our daughter." Tears streamed down Harrison's face as 20 years of questions were finally answered. "I never stopped loving you," Amira confessed. "I watched your success from afar and was proud of the man you became. I told our children about you, about your brilliance, your integrity, your kind heart beneath that businesslike exterior." She smiled then, a glimpse of the young woman he'd fallen for 2 decades earlier. "Lily is so like you, stubborn, fiercely intelligent, loyal to a fault. Noah has your smile, your curiosity. They are the best of both of us, Alexander." Amira's expression grew serious again. "If I'm gone, it means Victor has found us. Trust no one associated with Horizon. The corruption runs deep. Protect our children at all costs. They are everything." As the video neared its end, Amira leaned closer to the camera. "One last thing, Alexander. Be happy. Show our children that love survives, that good prevails, that life can be beautiful even after great loss. That is my final wish for all of you." The screen went dark, leaving Harrison alone with his grief and gratitude. Amira had given him not just their children, but a roadmap to healing, permission to build a new life from the ashes of tragedy. Later, as the sun began its descent toward the horizon, Harrison sat on the beach with Lily and Noah building an elaborate sandcastle. Catherine had departed for Washington, leaving them to their first weekend as a proper family in their new home. "Daddy," Lily said suddenly, looking up from her careful moat construction, "do you think Mom can see us from heaven?" The question caught Harrison by surprise. "I'd like to think so, sweetheart." "Me too." Lily patted the sand thoughtfully. "I think she'd be happy about our new family." "Our new family," Harrison echoed. Lily gestured expansively. "You, me, Noah, Aunt Catherine who visits, Ms. Sophie who helps take care of us, all of us together. It's different than before, but it's good." "Indeed." From the mouth of a 6-year-old came profound wisdom, the acknowledgement that families come in many forms, that love can rebuild what loss destroys. "Yes," Harrison agreed, throat tight with emotion. "It's very good." As darkness fell, Harrison carried a sleepy Noah while holding Lily's hand, walking back toward their beach house illuminated against the night sky, a lighthouse guiding them home. Behind them, the tide was already reclaiming their sandcastle, erasing the day's creation, yet tomorrow they would build again. Such was life, impermanent, constantly changing, requiring daily recommitment to creation. Victor had never understood this simple truth. He had sought to possess and control, to build monuments to his own ego. In the end, he had lost everything that truly mattered. Harrison, who had lost everything and then found what truly mattered, held his sleeping son against his chest and squeezed his daughter's small hand in his. "Home," Lily sighed contentedly as they climbed the steps to their deck. "Yes," Harrison agreed, looking at his children rather than the house. "We're home."